Today we're going to be trying to predict all 30 entrants in the Women's Royal Rumble match. And then after the Royal Rumble match, we're going to cross-reference to see how well we did with our predictions. The Women's Royal Rumble has been traditionally more difficult to predict who the entrants will be compared to the men. And that's because in past Royal Rumble matches, the WWE roster hasn't had enough women on the main roster to fill it out, which typically means there's a lot of legends that come back for one-off appearances. However, I don't think that's going to be the case this year because we actually have a stacked women's roster across Raw, SmackDown, hell, even main event has the likes of Xia Li and NXT. So this is my attempt at predicting this. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, you're going to like this channel because we upload daily wrestling content. And also, Jinder Mahal was so incredibly close to winning the World Heavyweight Championship. The world stood still when he hit that Colossus. I thought he had it. My full review of that and Monday Night Raw is over on Patreon, patreon.com if you want it. The link will be in the description of this video as well as the pinned comment. All right, let's jump into it. So we're first going to start off with a few of the women that have already been announced for the Women's Royal Rumble match. And let's start off with who I think at the moment is the odds-on favorite to win it. That's the beauty about this Women's Royal Rumble. It really feels like it could be anybody's game. I feel there's like 5 people who could realistically win this. And I think one of those 5 is Bayley. I think she has a really great story in place in terms of what they can do with her. If she does win the Royal Rumble, it's going to be the struggle of whether or not she goes for Rhea Ripley or maybe she goes after Io Sky, which causes her to get kicked out of Damage Control. There's some really neat stuff that they could run with here. So I'm excited to see where she lands in the Royal Rumble in terms of like what entry number she is. But I would love to see a world where she wins. Not only do I think that there's some great storytelling that could be told after she wins, but also I feel like she deserves it, don't you think? Look, before Bayley became one of the odds-on favorites, I have proof. I've been screaming it from the rooftops all the way back in October. I was pegging Becky Lynch to be the first ever 2-time Women's Royal Rumble winner. And the reason for that is because they were doing everything in their power to keep Becky and Rhea away from one another. Now, in the most recent episode of Monday Night Raw, they finally went face to face, and that conversation was very much setting up a match at WrestleMania. Like, that is like almost a foregone conclusion that is where they're going to be having a match. At least that's the writing that I'm seeing. And one of the best ways to get this match to happen at WrestleMania is to have Becky Lynch win. I would not be surprised if they pull the trigger on her being the first 2-time winner of the Royal Rumble. Another one that's already declared for the Royal Rumble is Bianca Belair, who again has to be considered one of those favorites to win it. Not only does she have the star power to be able to be a 2-time winner of the Royal Rumble, but she also does have, similar to Bayley and Becky Lynch, a natural story already set in place for her to go challenge Io Sky, somebody that has been getting away with victories because of Damage Control. So look for Bianca Belair to have a really strong showing at the Royal Rumble. If she does get eliminated, don't be surprised if it's by the person that they're going to set her up to have a WrestleMania feud with. Originally, I thought that this was going to be Charlotte Flair because to me, the writing on the wall was that they were going for that megastar match of Charlotte versus Bianca. I don't know who it's going to be anymore now that Charlotte's out with injury, so we'll have to wait and see. The other entrant that's already been announced is Nia Jax, and I have quite the prediction here, so try and stick with me here. I think that Nia Jax is going to be the last person eliminated from the Women's Royal Rumble, and I believe that if Becky Lynch is the winner, she's going to be eliminated by Becky Lynch. I think they're setting up the story of Becky Lynch being unsure of herself. She is doubting whether or not she's as good as Rhea Ripley, and part of that doubt was because she was trying to prove that she was the man without Nia Jax, and Nia Jax beat her clean. So I think this is going to be the rebuilding of Becky Lynch. Even if, Becky doesn't end up winning, I think Becky eliminates Nia Jax. From here on out, these are people that, as of the making of this video, have not been announced for the Royal Rumble, and I think you could pretty much write home the fact that Natalya is going to be in there. She's been in like every Women's Royal Rumble. They're not going to have her miss out on another one. Plus, she's been a workhorse for the WWE all through 2023 and here in the early portions of 2024. They're not going to keep her off this show. Right behind her, we're going to have her partner, Tegan Nox. Still don't understand the logic as to why they're partners, but we're rolling with it. Tegan Nox is going to be in this Women's Royal Rumble. I don't think that she's going to make any noise. Look, I think a successful Royal Rumble is if she can just like not get injured. Oh, snap. Here we go. I do think that this could be the place to debut Jade Cargill. Now, myself and many others have been screaming, let's get Jade Cargill onto WWE television. My understanding is that she had a passing in the family. Her mother passed away, which maybe has compounded the reasons as to why she hasn't appeared on WWE television. That's understandable. However, if she's ready to come back, I don't think that there's a better stage than this. So if she's emotionally ready to go, if the WWE feels that her head is in this, if the WWE feels like her in-ring ability can go, then not only should she be in the Royal Rumble, but she should be entrant 1 or 2 so that she gets the proper full entrance as opposed to just like a run-in at number 30. Look, for a while, I thought that they were going to turn Chelsea Green into one of these main eventers, but it feels like they're taking everything away from her that makes her special. Her California girl style in-ring entrance of Chelsea Green disappearing, along with the fact that she's taking all these pins in these meaningless women's tag team matches, is really disappointing. I hope that she has a better showing than last year's Royal Rumble, where she was eliminated in 6 seconds when she made her WWE debut, which I still to this day believe it was the right call to do that because it immediately endeared a lot of people to the hilarity that is Chelsea Green as a character, but I hope she has a proper run this time. Hey guys, I need your help. I'm trying to earn a nomination for the Streamer Awards. There's actually 2 categories that I actually fall really nicely into that I would love to get your vote on. The first category is Best Fighting Game Streamer, and you know what? I feel like WWE 2K did not get love here because they say that this is for streamers who create the best fighting game content like Street Fighter 6, Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Melee, Mortal Kombat, Tekken 7, but they refuse to acknowledge WWE 2K23 as a fighting game, and god damn it, it is. So please just go vote for Santi's app for that category. The other category that I fit nicely into is the Rising Star Award, which is for a streamer that averages under 1,000 viewers in the year of 2023, which I do fall under that category. I'm more than 1,000 now, but hey, this is for 2023, so please also type in Santi's app and submit your vote. In return, if I do end up winning and going to this award show, I will wear a powder blue suit, a pink do-rag, and I will arrive as do-rag Vince McMahon. That is my promise to you, so please go vote for Santi Zap in the Streamer Awards. I'm going to put the link at the very top of the description as well as the pinned comment. Go ahead, please help me out. All right, back to the video. If you're gonna have Chelsea Green in there, I think you gotta have P in there. Her best friend, Piper Niven, is most likely gonna be in the Royal Rumble as well. I think it'd be kind of funny if there is a situation where Piper Niven or Chelsea Green eliminate one another. I feel like we haven't seen Raquel Rodriguez in quite a while on Monday Night Raw, so I'd love for her to get some screen time here at the Royal Rumble, and I think it would be nice to have her in the ring when the return of Liv Morgan inevitably happens, because I do believe that not only is Liv Morgan returning at the Royal Rumble, I think she's one of the favorites to win it, and you should have that in the back of your head as a possibility. I do think that the odds of her winning have slightly dwindled down now that Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley have started this program. However, she has history with Rhea Ripley, history that makes sense to revisit when she comes back. So, and a lot of people do like her. So wouldn't be surprised if they end up putting this on Liv Morgan. Surprise return alert. We have Trinity Fatu, aka Naomi. Feel the glow. She was one of my favorite women's wrestlers before she left the WWE, and I cannot wait to have her back. Fun fact, she is my girlfriend's favorite female wrestler aside from Charlotte Flair, because my girlfriend just loves her glow entrance. It is super cool and unique. But from what I'm seeing here, just the papers that are laid out in front of me, her contract with TNA Wrestling is about to run out. She just dropped the TNA Women's Championship to Jordynne Grace at the most recent TNA pay-per-view, Hard to Kill. So why not? Where else is she gonna go? I think it's back to the WWE. We talked a little bit how it's been difficult in the past for the Women's Royal Rumble to be filled out with active wrestlers that are, actually wrestling today. And part of the reason why in the past that's been a problem is because they've been afraid to use NXT women in these Royal Rumble matches. But I think it's time to buck that trend. And I think the two that can buck this trend are the center of the universe, Tiffany Stratton, who is well beyond her years and absolutely deserves, I don't know if I'm necessarily saying a call up to the main roster, but a slight glimpse of her on the main roster so that people can see everything that NXT has been working on over the last couple of years, because I think that she is one of the best pieces of talent that HBK and NXT has developed in quite some time. So I think it's time to give a taste to the Royal Rumble fans in attendance and to the millions watching at home of the fantastic work that the NXT women women's division has been putting on, and Tiffany Stratton should be front and center there. Lyra Valkyria is the current NXT Women's Champion, and the reason she's on this list is actually kind of a similar reason why I also have Tiffany Stratton on this list, and that is because main roster WWE fans likely know who these two are because of their feud with Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch going down to NXT, being NXT champion, bringing a lot of eyeballs with her down to NXT, has introduced the world to members of the NXT roster like Lyra Valkyria and Tiffany Stratton. And if Tiffany Stratton is like the gem of the women's division, Lyra Valkyria has to be one of those as well because she's the current women's champion. Hey, the first ever Women's Royal Rumble winner has to be on here. We're gonna have Asuka. I think that she had a great showing last Royal Rumble, and I wouldn't be surprised if she has another great showing like that as well. However, I think at some point or another, there's gonna be the butting of heads between members of Damage Control, including Bayley, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. Something is going to implode. I don't know how and what the dynamic is going to look like, but I do think that their internal, I guess, struggle and tug of war is what's going to lead to these members of Damage Control getting eliminated, probably by Bayley. Hope you didn't forget about Trish Stratus. Thank you, Trish. I know she's kind of like one of those legends that isn't active, like the type of legend that they would use in the past to fill out the Women's Royal Rumble. However, Trish Stratus deserves this spot. I mean, the great work that she did in that program with Becky Lynch for the better part of what felt like 6 months, in that culmination of that fantastic cage match, probably the greatest women's cage match of all time. I would be very happy, very delighted to see Trish Stratus back. In fact, I would probably thank her and say, thank you, Trish. You know what we never got though? Lita getting some payback on Trish Stratus for attacking her backstage before the women's tag title match against Raquel and Liv Morgan, a title match that Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch would then go on to lose. We never really got Lita the opportunity to get back at Trish Stratus, and I think that this is the perfect place for it. I wouldn't be surprised if they're both in it and if Lita eliminates Trish Stratus. Who else has been really pleasantly surprised by the work of Michi and Mia Yim over the last couple of weeks? I think that she's been great. Maybe it's been a symptom of her not being showcased enough, but to me, it just seems like she's gotten better. Maybe she was always this good and was never given the opportunity to be that good. So for me, give me more Michi and Mia Yim. She, like I said, has been doing some great work on SmackDown, and I think she deserves the spot, and I'd like to see her have a decent showing at the Royal Rumble as well. Don't be surprised if this muscle hamster, Ivy Nile, is one of the last 5 remaining in the Women's Royal Rumble match. The WWE has been treating her like a top player in the WWE main roster ever since showing up from NXT, and I would not be surprised if she ends up having a fantastic showing at this year's Royal Rumble. I don't think that she's gonna win it by any means. She's already gotten a crack at Rhea Ripley and failed, but she's gonna be putting in some work. Shotzi is one of those women that's gotten significantly more screen time over the last 6 months or so, so I think this is a natural next step for her to have this PLE match and be part of the Royal Rumble. If you told me that I was gonna have Xia Li in the Women's Royal Rumble match, I don't know, like 4 months ago, I'd probably laugh in your face, but Xia Li has been a renaissance. We haven't seen her on TV over the last couple of weeks, but that run that she had where she was taking people's heads off, injuring them, feuding with Becky Lynch, going down to NXT, feuding with Lyra Valkyria has been very, very impressive. And to me, she is like the best example of why shows like Main Event are so important. Shows that you might not watch, but are valuable in terms of getting in-ring time and experience to wrestlers that are trying to work their way into the main roster. And I think all of that time on Main Event has worked wonders for Xia Li's in-ring work and character work. And she absolutely has earned a spot in this Royal Rumble. And I dare for you to disagree. I don't think that she'll be a threat to win it, but I think that she'll be a crowd favorite. Give me Zelina Vega in the Women's Royal Rumble match. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen her on a PLE. Maybe the last time was Backlash. So I'm excited just to see Zelina Vega on a PLE screen. Dude, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I don't know why, and I have no backup. I have no evidence. I'm not an insider. I'm not Sean Ross Sapp. I'm just a dude that likes wrestling, that talks in front of a camera, has a cheap little light, and has a microphone. This is what I do. So I don't have any insider information. All I have is my heart. And my heart is telling me that Mercedes Moné is coming back to the WWE. Look, to me, if Trinity Fatu, aka Naomi, does come back, I think like it's just too perfect to have these two women that rightfully stood up for themselves, left the WWE because they were unhappy with how they were being treated. They are now looking at the WWE as a much better landscape than when it was back in 2022. And to me, it's just like the greatest women's division that's available for her to join. Hopefully the WWE is willing to give her the bag that she's asking for, because I would love to have Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks back in the WWE. And you know what? Like, this isn't like a, ooh, I hope. Like, this video cannot be about hoping. This is my prediction. This is what I'm putting the house on. Sasha Banks is coming back to the WWE, damn it. Look, we've seen wilder things than just Mickie James come back to the WWE when she's not under contract to be a wrestler anywhere else. For God's sake, this woman appeared at the Women's Royal Rumble when she was the TNA Impact Women's Champion under contract with TNA. If they can do that, they can do it again. And it's much easier to do it now, because not only is she not under contract anywhere, but on top of that, her husband, which maybe some of you don't know, is Nick Aldis. So the connection is already there for her to have her foot in the door and for her to appear at the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, the question is, do we want her to come back with her WWE song, or do we want her to come back to Hardcore Country, her TNA theme? Let me know. I feel like the hype of Zoe Stark has really not necessarily like disappeared. I think that she's now found the spot in the roster that she belongs in, where she needs to like work her way up, because she started off super hot and was immediately put into main event caliber programs with Rhea Ripley, Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch. So now she's just like normal as she tries to work her way up. And I do believe that she's going to be in the Women's Royal Rumble match. And I do think that her and Shayna Baszler could potentially put on a show and eliminate the entire field if they are both on there. And I wouldn't be surprised if these two end up having to face one another to eliminate each other, because they've been having this storyline of who's the most badass of the two. So I feel like it's going to come to head at the Royal Rumble. KC2 has to be in this Royal Rumble match. Like, if they want like a cool Kofi Kingston-like spot, it has to be with KC2. They did one with her back when she was Casey Catanzaro, back when they had some NXT women appear in the Women's Royal Rumble. Now that she's part of the main roster, there's no excuse not to have her in the Royal Rumble match, and there's no excuse to not have her do something cool to prevent elimination. So I'm looking forward to see how creative they get with her Kofi Kingston-like Royal Rumble moment. Now, if you're going to have one half of the women's tag team champions be in the Royal Rumble match, I feel like you got to have the other half. I think you got to expect Kaden Carter to be there if Katana Chance is as well. Am I really doing this? Dude, there was no fiber of my being that believed like a week ago that this was a possibility. But somehow, some way, my Twitch chat, twitch.tv/SantiZam, and my Twitter followers have gaslighted me into believing that AJ Lee is coming back to the WWE and is going to appear at the Women's Royal Rumble. Look, this is my like long shot, and to the point where it's like, oh, if I'm wrong, no big deal. But if I'm right, I need you to come back to this video and say and tell me that Santi told you so and that Santi was right. AJ Lee is going to come back at the Women's Royal Rumble. She's going to be the number 30 entrant. I don't know if she ends up winning or what, or maybe she gets eliminated by Becky Lynch, setting something cool up there. But I have to take my shot with this. I'm calling it. AJ Lee is going to be at this year's Women's Royal Rumble match. Well, folks, that's my predictions for both the men's and the Women's Royal Rumble. Look, based on like the entrants that I've chosen, this could end up being the best men's and the Women's Royal Rumble match of all time. So we'll see. Hopefully, you know, I'm mostly right. It'd be pretty badass if I was 100% right. But again, we'll come back to these videos once the Rumble is done and see how I did. All right, folks, take care. Thanks for watching this. Get out of here.